Soul Material Podcast. We're back again. Season 4. It's T-Mart, the Street Shop.
And your man, the OGEO, welcome to the podcast and channel that you cheer for. Soul Material. Let's get it. T Mark, the Street Shark. Let's get it.
All right, more sneaker business talk for our favorite audience, and we're going to give you that clarity over popularity. All right, so again, we're just keeping up with some more recent events, and then also continuing the story. We promised you that we would continue these stories about the state of the union of the sneaker business, what's going on at the corporate level, what decisions are being made, why they're being made, and again, all of the post-pandemic aftermath. Because one of the things we talked about is sustainability of the retail cycle, how people actually buy and consume products, and how much it has changed in the last 3 years, particularly online versus brick and mortar stores. All right, we've given you some buzzwords. We've talked about omni-channel and how the retail experience has changed to make it a full retail experience. So that means you could be in person but online at the same time, and it's just more about how you're connecting with the store. So omnichannel, go back to some of our episodes. We explain omnichannel a little bit more. We're not going to do that now. We're just going to go talk about. In the past we've talked about the series of stores that have been closing for so many different reasons. Oversaturated marketplace. You know, aggressive resale market, and leading to major retailers investing in said resale market to make sure that they can dip on both sides. We talked about Nike controlling their distribution even more by taking their product out of strategic stores, Foot Locker, and now that they are going to do more direct to consumer and have more direct to consumer initiatives, i.e., they're selling refurbished shoes now on their website. Like what? You know what I mean? So with that being said, we told you about how East Bay, our dear beloved East Bay catalog is no more. We have a DMV staple retailer, Shoe City, your city, my city, Shoe City. Goodbye. They closed their doors and closed kind of abruptly. You know what I mean? And now we have another store that has announced that they are closing. All right. And that store is ATMOS. And we're talking about ATMOS USA, not necessarily the ATMOS Japan. They're still going to keep their stores overseas. It's just their U.S. operation. And it was weird to hear about their website is shutting down too. You're like, what? So that's what we want to talk about in this episode, is just showing love to Atmos, and then also just getting behind that business, because Atmos was acquired by Foot Locker, and that was another deal where it's just like, hey, I thought that they were in trouble. Like, so why are they acquiring them? It's almost like you acquired someone else to offset your own problems, because you still wanted to be connected to that industry, but other than the acquisition, you really couldn't drive the business up. And if that acquisition took place a year or two ago, here we are with the stores closing. So did that really work, OG? What's going on? Because I know you got some special Atmos experiences. So talk to the people for a little bit.
Definitely, man. You're talking about Foot Locker acquiring them $309 million, like you said, less than 2 years ago, 3 years ago max. And it's unfortunate because we've talked about this in prior episodes. The experience of actually being a shopper at a brick and mortar, even with high detailed, high level,
Mm-hmm.
great customer service stores like Atmos, which Atmos was at Georgetown, for example, at a very premium spot, traffic galore. We are where we are, and how did we get here? And there's so many factors. You can't mention just one factor or the other. But as you said, and we've talked about in previous episodes, Tony, the shopper has changed, and the aggressiveness of what's going on business wise has changed. So let's back this up a little bit, in which just a few years back, where Atmos and Ubik merged, and talking about the premium sneakers store in Philadelphia for years. Ubik, I can tell you, I was actually in line 2005, I believe, in August, because I got my very first pair of SBs, which were the diamonds in Philadelphia on Walnut Street. They were selling for $200, $120 over retail, but that was the experience that you got. They had them. They had your size. Paid cash, no tax. You were out. And to see Atmos always doing what they did overseas, you say that name alone, and it speaks volumes. It speaks value. It speaks loyalty. It speaks excellence. Them coming to the United States. They got the Harlem 2005, I believe. No, 2003. I actually took a trip to New York in 2005 just to go to Harlem, just to go to Atmos to get that experience. And even there in the city, wherever it was, excellent customer service. Walked out, and that's when I had
Nice.
a lot of expendable cash on me. Personally, like $500 in there. And part of it was not only being in New York, but having that experience. And again, I'm having a store in Philly, which was great, and one in DC. No matter who was there, it was always top notch. And you got to the point where you even were getting deals at the store. And the design of the store, them when they had collaborations, and if you were local, whether you were in Philly or in DC, they made sure they collaborated with certain teams that were local to that area so you can get your exclusive hats. They did everything the right way. And
Yep.
we are where we are. So my phone is going off a couple of days ago, and it's like, you hear the news, you hear the news, you hear the news. And it's like everyone was shocked. And I'm like, me and the shark aren't shocked because not saying we want things to happen, but I can't be shocked. I can't be surprised because there's no secret because we know what's going on behind the scenes. And somewhere down the line, Foot Locker said, you know what? Let's cut either this loss or it becomes a serious loss. It's 309 million. No, let's focus on something else. And it's
Mm.
so unfortunate, T Mark, because Shark, I'm gonna tell you, the experience going into that store was one of the last you had where you can go in there, feel like you were someone, not purchase anything, just vibe, just browse, if you will, and say, you know what, maybe next time. And it's unfortunate because that era is now coming to an end, and you got to go right down the street to go to a resale shop. And it's what it is with, I hate to say these kids, but outside of a few that's doing it right, shout out to Soul proprietors up in Charlotte, and now they're in
Okay.
Northern Virginia. Soul Priorities, outside of them, the experience just going into a store and just being a quote unquote head, sneakerhead, hype beast, whatever you want to be, and feel like you are somebody, getting a deal or a steal or release shoe, it's just tough shot because I'm missing that experience of going into a store and shopping, man, and seeing Atmos gone in the United States, man. It's rough and it's tough, and it's what it is now.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually said I wasn't going to do anything with this one, but you brought up something real quick, and it's in arm's reach right here for me because I'm in the vault right now. Yeah, just you talked about the local collaboration. You talked about before the Foot Locker acquisition, the partnership, and the merger with Atmos and Ubique in Philly, because that was a time within itself with some of their collaborations that they had. So I actually have one of those. And it was Fila. So here's part of the box. So if I open that up, you see the Fila with the logo. So these are actually the Stackhouse Spaghetti collaboration that Ubique had exclusive to the Philadelphia store. You know what I mean? And there, here it is. All right. So there's the Ubique. There's the logo on the back. You know what I mean? So got these spaghettis, exclusive 76ers colorway that only came out in Philly or whatever. So I actually copped these such a long time ago. Almost literally forgot I had them until you mentioned the store, and I was like, oh, I do have something. That's how much we just appreciate. Like the materials on this is crazy with the suede. That's why I was just like, man, I don't care if y'all don't like these feelers or whatever. These are fire. You
And
know what I mean?
those
So
scream Stackhouse rookie jersey, like I could see him
yeah,
wearing those with his rookie jersey, home
yeah. Because
or away.
remember, Stackhouse came, and then the next year, it was Allen Iverson or whatever. But Stack was on his own. You know what I mean? For a little bit. So when he had his couple signature shoes with Philly, I just remember the ad, the magazine ad where you had the triple threat position, but the Philadelphia city sign with the city in the background. Classic. So back to you, OG. You know what I'm saying? I know you got some more Atmos storytelling to do.
Definitely, man. Because one of the things that I enjoyed about them, um, there was a shoe that I wanted for years, and they retro 2004, and I was able to get them. And of course, you wear shoes, they run down. And when they retroed again, Nike just did what they do, and they made all of these kind of, I'll call them the rundowns. And it took so much to get the original. And they were more popular overseas than in the States, but the Atmos in DC did me a solid by making sure they got the shoe shipped from their overseas store to that store just for me. And it was still my favorite running shoe of all time. And this was in 2016.
Whew.
2016. I'm sorry, it was the Harlem store, I believe. It is the Air Spiridon. And everyone thinks the Spiridon, the Air Zoom
Whew.
Spiridons, about the, no, this is the actual
The real
OG pair.
experience.
This ain't the
Yeah,
orange ones, the ones that are go down. This has the midsole. This has all of the Zoom Air. That's crazy. Until this day, this is my all-time runner from Nike,
yeah. They
and
don't know about Michael Johnson. They
at
don't
all.
know about.
At all. So I'm still mad to this day. They made all those colorways, and they had the run me downs, is what I call them, to where they kind of stripped the sole a little bit and made them cheaper, and made them feel cheaper. But 2016, man, this only had the tag on, so I don't remember how much I paid, but I told them I didn't care how much it was. I needed the shoe in my hands, and I still got them. So here's my Atmos memory. I think I even doubled up. I got to look to see where the other pair is. This is the pair that I still wear. 2016 is now 2023. And shout out to Atmos, Philly, Harlem, and DC. But I'm quite sure the Harlem store is the one that looked out for me. And then they had them shipped to that store, and shipped them to me. And those kind of things, man, just by being a customer saying, hey, I know they have the shoe. Can you look out for me? Can you do something? Um, tipping a guy $10 to just say, hey, man, you didn't have to do that, man. Go get some lunch. That's now seems like it's just a thing of the past, and me and the Sharks day. And these type of things I hold on to, and the memory is always going to be there. And Atmos, man, RIP. You are always in my heart, never forgotten. But it's what it is, man. Another one bites the dust.
Yeah, go ahead and give a close up of the shoe
Definitely.
again for the folks at home.
And Nike
Because
did such a great job.
that's such a great job. They gotta see those details so that if they ever see some of those other retro models, they know the difference. I know I
This
had
is
the stash
3M. Yeah,
colorway,
3M
but
all the way across. It's the red. You got the Zoom Air. And the key thing is, as we talked about, they rarely did this, but all of this plating, and it's absolutely amazing to walk on or run on.
yeah, that's a
It,
lot of that's the good zoom. You know what I mean? And if I'm not mistaken, was one of the retros silver but didn't have the 3M behind it.
yes, sir. Yes,
See,
sir.
there
So
you go.
everything about this shoe was as original as it can be. So Nike really did the thing on these, and I was kind of upset that it seemed like it was such a overseas exclusive, if you will, almost. And
Mhm.
getting these were kind of tough unless you were on websites and you were really up on game and up at 4 o'clock in the morning because of time changes and so forth. And it became a thing to where this was like um, exclusive club type of release, if you will, because this wasn't a Jordan, it wasn't no hype, but if you knew, you knew. And then it kind of grew in which everyone thought they was going to get their pair, and then they're like, oh my God, here come the hype beasts, here come the bots, and everyone's upset. So for the guy at Atmos, and of course he's probably long gone, but again, the detail with the Nike checking and 3M all the way across. Like if you wear these out in the dark and headlight hits you, you flash and everything. So it's just one of those things, man. Like I said, the comfortability of this shoe is a 12 out of 10, and it's just one of those shoes, man. That I remember seeing them on display at an athlete's foot when we were back in high school back in the 90s, and I was like, I didn't have what the $90 they were on sale for, and I was like, you wait till I get grown, you wait till I get a job. And it's just one of those things, man. And it's come full circle to where disappointed, upset, when you don't hit, you feel some kind of way, and have someone at that store at Harlem say, hey man, I got you. They're an overseas store. They sit and run shoes there, always sit. We'll make it away. And I told him, whatever I got to pay shipping over there. And he said, no, man, I got you. And this is the last of the dying breed of, like we talked about, sneaker community, people looking out. He was looking for anything extra. And I missed that era in that time. There was always resellers. There was always people greedy. It was always fraud. But it wasn't to the point that it has gotten over the years. So the details, man, Nike doing the right thing. They didn't go cheap on these at all. Shout out to Atmos. Shout out to Nike
Cool.
2016. The Air Zoom Spiridon. Greatest running shoe Nike ever did, in my humble yet boastful opinion. No question.
Yeah, very little debate, and you definitely can't argue that. You had to be there for it to happen. That was a special time. I mentioned Michael Johnson. That was a whole thing when he was like Usain Bolt before Usain Bolt. Like I'm talking about when in America had that guy. You know what I mean? And Nike was all behind him with the Spiridons and a couple other, that whole, especially what was it, the '96 Olympics with the triacs and all of those track and field related. If you go back into our catalog, you'll see, especially on our YouTube channel, you'll see the OG gave a special exclusive look at the Hirachis. I mean, not the Hirachis, Prestos
Prestos.
from the that track and field collaboration. All right. So now we told a couple sneaker stories, a couple, some of our brick and mortar experience. Let's just break down, some of our thoughts on the actual closing of the store and some of our reactions. So again, we've unfortunately we're not shocked, and this is just the next one in line because again we've had specific episodes for all of the other stores that have closed. So this one's just it did catch me off guard because I didn't see it coming from them. But when we look back, we say, does the new sneakerheads even know about the classic Atmos collaborations? You know what I'm saying? Some Air Max 1s and, like Safari styles and the Biotech, all types of stuff. You know what I mean? And, Sean Witherspoon, he worked with them and has done a number of collaborations. You know what I'm saying? The Atmos, forget about the shoes too, because they were doing some really cool apparel collaborations. I'm mad that I waited a little too long for the Atmos Coogee collection because they did a very good job when they brought that out. But I just wasn't paying the $500-600, for the sweaters. But I was waiting for them to go on sale, and by the time they were able to go on sale, my size wasn't available, so I waited a little too long. But Atmos was a great website as well that they, did a good job with their flash sales. If you notice, I have my Urban Playground, baseball jersey on, and you've probably seen the OG in some of our images with his jacket on. I have the jacket too. And guess where I copped it from? Atmos on sale eventually for under $100 because I waited. And it was something that I wanted, but I was just patient and just continuing to bookmark the page, come back, and then when I saw, I'm like, whoa, this is so buried so deep on the page now that no one's even noticing that they just keep marking the prices down, and then they have a little sale on sales, and then I just swoop in, and then scoop and score. And I'm literally here in Northern Virginia, but this store in in Georgetown. Sometimes I go by. They have some good collaborations with New Balances. They always did a good job of their in-store their setups, because anytime they did a collaboration, it was just always cool because this is retro vibes where the windows get dressed to the and then sometimes you had to have a strong partnership, so for those that don't have the untrained eye, if your partnership is strong, then the vendor is fitting the bill for some of that. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to fit the bill for everything, but you can do a little comp deal. So just think more about collaborations with other stores, and they don't have the window dressings. They don't have the in-store setup that actually completes the story that they're telling, because that's an investment to have extra fixtures that are temporary, and then all these auxiliary things and window dressings is just like paying for a bunch of extra Christmas decorations and then having to pack them up once the promotion is over. That's the equivalent of it. So if you have a strong relationship, then you might do a little trade where, because it benefits the brand that you're partnering with, to dress the whole window. And then especially that Georgetown, Wisconsin Ave, that signage on that street is worth money. All right. So if the retailer can partner with the brand to create the signage that is going to be massive. It's just like your store is a billboard on a big street, and I mean like the full window, not just the one that's visible. I mean like the door, the window, and then anything else on top. You dress all of that up with the logos and tell the full story. And then they'll have you know communal events. That was one of the last retailers as well that invited other sneakerheads to come, and then let's just have a night out with New Balance, and we have one or two representatives from New Balance, and then it's just a Q&A session, and then you just network and go from there. You might have a little spoken word or a little artist or something, get you a little poetry jam, get your snaps on, get a little mixer, you know what I mean, because that's part of the community, all right, is to what? Commune, actually gather, you know what I'm saying? So again, lost art of actually sneakers coming together. That's why we value our sneaker friends. And we build those relationships, and you just never know what comes into fruition. So always love the in-store experience, but at the end of the day, I think some of that just might have lost value in a digital consumer world. Either you don't know that exists, you don't care because it's not your experience. Because I just think about if you were to get people to come, how hard is it to get people to come and that's their first time coming to something like that, right? Because if other people aren't doing it, you actually look weirder only because they don't have the common experience of that's a thing. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, ooh. And so that's what makes it a little harder to say, oh, when it happened, I missed out, and then the next one I'm going to go to. But other than that, I think it's just the telling of our times. You know what I mean? It's not even about the sourcing and the products not selling. I think it's just the unlofty expectations, sales goals, and if they're partnering a little too much, they might. I haven't seen their books, but I could imagine that some higher ups that only look at bottom lines and not the intrinsic value of keeping and retaining the customers, and you just look at the bottom line for what it is, they might be like, look, we're barely making profit, or we're in the red. So that means pull the plug rather than, well, we're not sitting here losing a bunch of money. And when the economy changes, this, and this, look, we're in another turn cycle in our economy right now that's very down. Look at the real estate market, look at interest rates and mortgage rates and all of that stuff. Look, we're in tough times. Inflation, all right, like the last 2 years, it's just, it was almost like inflation was talked about before it actually happened. So that's why it was like, oh, this is not really a thing. And then it's like, boom, hit you in the face. It's real. And then guess what else is about to happen? We're about to go into another election year cycle. And if any in history, it continues to repeat itself in this country when it comes to its capitalism and how commerce works, is that those dollar signs look different in election years. Not to say that there's a direct correlation. I'm just saying that's how the economy works. So if we're not willing as business people to sit and wade through the water of the down cycle, then you don't have much on the other side anyway. So, I just feel bad for people losing jobs in said economy and all the things, because I would have expected this for other retailers. We talked about Shoe City. They had too much generic stuff. And you remember we talked about how they crossed over and spread themselves into clothing and apparel for kids and women. We're all things that have low margins. You know what I mean? So no wonder. And then Nike is pulling accounts and being selective. So you just don't even have the premium product that was driving you. So that made more sense. This one, they had the relationships. It still had a little, boutique slash um, it might have been the last breath of sneaker underground culture still existing, like that skateboard shop vibes. Because the skateboard shops used to change the window dressings and all this other stuff, and skate culture had way more business partners willing to invest in said culture before it was totally commercialized into urban. Skate and urban became synonymous. But when it's underground, so shout out to Atmos. Uh,
USA.
Last of USA, last of the underground vibes. We'll miss you. All right. So any more closing words from the OG on the Atmos situation?
Street Shark, I just feel like we are now seeing the overall result outside of all you said as far as the economy, inflation, election year coming up. We're still seeing the molding and shaping of post pandemic retail and seeing how, like you said, what's important and to whom. And it's just unfortunate that the powers that be didn't give Atmos a couple more years to see whatever turn they were looking for, because I know they weren't in the shape that a Shoe City was in, for example. It's hard to believe if they were. And given, talking about 3 stores, the experience, so forth, but again, you're talking about just square bottom line. So I want to see how whatever money is being saved is invested and see what Foot Locker is going to do next. But once you talked about the merger with UPick and so forth, I was really looking forward to Atmos being again what they have been, and that's a leader and a premium leader in everything that we've discussed from the experience to in every city, because they took on the culture of the city that they were in the USC
Yep.
as well. So the DC store was not like the Harlem store. The Harlem store was not like the Philadelphia store, and it was 3 different experiences totally. But the bottom line with them, as far as your experience, as far as customer service, was always there. And like you said, man, the value of that now means
A
what?
retailer catering to its market doesn't have the same value. What a sneaker world that we're in right now.
No
Interesting.
question.
Well,
No question.
to our audience, that's why we're here. Soul Material Podcast, we're giving that clarity over popularity and that sneaker business talk. We definitely want you to understand what's going on because we told you some of the power lives with you, the consumer. If you really want these businesses to stay alive, then patronize the businesses. You know what I'm saying? And even if it's with the coupons and everything like that, just buy from these boutique styles, especially the ones that are doing good and contributing to the culture. They are giving back culturally, all right, and that's what we're gonna miss. So other than that, again, ongoing story. We told you this with the Foot Locker is really not going to stop. We told you about the lace up strategy, all that good stuff. In between, still waiting for it to pan itself out. So this isn't the end. We'll continue to tell you about what's going on in the sneaker world. Give our take on some of the business operations just from an inside perspective. Again, check us out on YouTube and our social media pages. You tell us what you think about it. We're open to the dialogue, and we love to meet some more sneaker friends because it's again last of a dying breed, and we want to keep the culture alive. That's why we're asking different questions. That's why we're providing more detailed answers rather than the generic regurgitation of sneaker blog news, where all the sites post the same content over and over and over again. All right. So there you go. Another episode for season 4 in the books. Peace out to Atmos. All right. Last of a dying breed. Somehow they became a dinosaur real quick in this culture. So hopefully we can turn the corner by educating everyone. But until then, we'll be working hard to bring in some more exclusive content and some storytelling behind the scenes. For another episode of Soul Material podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for. It's T Mark the Street Shark.
OG to EO. Peace to you. Till next time.
Signing off.
Sneaker Business Talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.